to know what you're entitled to if them hard times on the streets have pushed you to something like a prison sentence for stealing food, for begging on the street. It does happen. I've worked with a lot of people released from prison for such offences, for non-payment of fines, for begging on the street. That's usually how the cycle works. So I'm going to do some research and find out what you'd be entitled to as a British citizen if one of these things have happened to you. You've ended up in a prison estate and now you get released. I know for a fact that the vast majority of prisoners or ex-prisoners, once they've served their sentence and they've had their punishment for their sins, a huge amount of them cannot return to the same property due to maybe falling out with family members, or the issues may have been around family, due to just losing their flat. You know, if you're in prison for a set amount of time, the local authority will stop paying for your rent. Now you're deemed homeless. In some cases they say you've intentionally made yourself homeless. So a lot of people are coming out straight to the streets. I know for a fact, because I was running the drug and alcohol service, so people who'd gained an addiction whilst they were in prison, a lot of them go out in there without being addicted to anything, but to cope, they end up either pressured into or just feeling hopeless and taking illegal drugs, which there's a lot more available in the prisons than there are on the street, trust. So when they come out with an addiction to methadone, because what they do is go in there, say I've got an addiction, you'll do a test, a urine test. If it comes clean, you go on the wing, someone will give you some opioids illegally, which you'll owe money for, you'll be in debt, and that's where the problems start. You'll go back and get another test, they'll say yes, you are addicted to opioids, so now they'll start giving you methadone. There are other things, Subutex. They've started giving people an injection now which will last for, initially it's a couple of weeks, and then it's every couple of months you have to retake it. But they tend, when they get on a methadone script, to up that script as high as they can, so they'll come out on, you'd start off on around 20 mils a day. They'll tend to come out of prison on average on 60 to 100 mils of legal opioids, i.e. methadone, and they'll be thrown out of prison. On that first day, they're expected to engage with a drug and alcohol service, do lots of tests, fill in lots of forms, and get themselves on a script. A lot of people fail that, and the reason they fail to get that done is on that same day they will have to go to a benefits office. I don't know if anyone's been to a benefits office. They will have to sign on for universal credit. It's not sorted out for them while they're still in prison. Ridiculous, really. We pay people to work in prisons to do this, but it doesn't happen. So they've got to come out, get some help with their addiction issues. They've got to go to a benefit office. Then they have to do things like think about accommodation. So they have to go to a housing provider. This is all in one day, the day that you get out of prison. You have to go to a housing provider. You will then imaginarily be put on some kind of list, because you're not going to walk out of prison, walk in one of these national charities and say, oh, I've got nowhere to live, I've just been released from prison. You're not going to be put in a house that day, that's a fact. So you'll have a few choices. You'll have to go to friends and family. A lot of people, the issue with that is friends and family have either rejected them due to their prison service, or indeed the only friends that will put them up will expect something back from that, either get involved in criminal activity, know that they've been given a little bit of money for a prison release grant, expect a bit of that money, i.e. go out and buy some drugs and share it with me if you're going to live in my flat. They'll tend to be around drug use and criminality on the first night of coming out of prison. The other option is to go on the street, go and live on the street, into the vicious cycle. People are released all year round, not just on hot summer evenings. They're released at times of years like this when it's freezing. So yeah, I'm going to do a little bit more research. I just know this through working in the sector, through people coming in, seeing me or my team on the day they get released. and like a lot of them, that we talk about hostels. Now hostels are generally, they're a short supply, so they'll generally be provided to people who've committed some of the worst crimes, some of the more so your sexual offenders, your more violent people. Now they will be the ones put into the hostels or approved premises. In there they're supervised by probation office staff. Supervision can be quite loose. Whilst they're there, they're at risk of being recalled to prison, i.e. the police come and get them and put them back in because they've been released early anyway. So going into an approved premises is impossible unless you're one of the higher risk. So your guy who's just been thrown into prison, or girl who's been thrown into prison for shoplifting, for committing crimes to survive whilst homeless, they've got no chance of getting in the approved premises. The other hostels, it's a first come first served type thing. The problem with a hostel, in my opinion and experience, is hostels are full of victims and predators. So if you go in there with the intention of changing your life around, staying clean, there will be people in that hostel who are bang on taking drugs, bang on ready to take advantage of anyone who's coming out ready to change their lifestyle. That they will steal from them, they will manipulate them to get their benefits, they will do whatever they can to take advantage of anyone. So the only way to defend yourself in such a place is A, use physical violence, or B, join in, be part of the group, continue with criminal activities, just to get these people off your back so you get your benefits. Everyone knows what day they're getting paid from the DHSS. If they're fortunate enough to get their universal credit, on that day they're basically frog marched down to the cash machine and then straight over to the dealers, spend their mum's money, or 2 weeks whenever they get paid, on drugs, and then sit there and share it amongst the other people in the hostel, and that'll be it. They'll be without money until the next time that they get a cash benefit. And it may be very easy for me and you to sit in our nice comfortable homes and say, well, that's their fault. If me or you were in a hostel with some of these people, they're quite aggressive circumstances, and then other people who aren't living in the hospital but make a good living out of dealing to people in hostels, they're not asking these people politely if they're willing to spend their benefits on crack and heroin and everything else. They cannot. Unless you're on your game and you're willing to fight and risk going back to prison for a very violent offence, because it'd be very violent the way you'd have to defend yourself and say no, then yeah, it's quite easy to be pushed back into it. Check what they are entitled to if you're in that situation, and maybe do some research from me on exactly what you're entitled to when legally, when released from prison, or if you're just someone who's not been in prison but get thrown out the home by parents or in a relationship and are on the streets. We're going to do a little bit more research and see exactly what you're entitled to, and is there really any need for people to be dying of cold this winter, this Christmas season. Okay then, thanks for watching. Hope that wasn't too much of a rambling rant, but these may well get a little bit more professionally produced with a better planned. I didn't want to script this, so get back to me, see what you think. Have a great day, everybody.